let's join ace broadcaster Mamode Akugha as he takes us inside the Niger Delta.
Hello out there and welcome to the program. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. I'm your regular host, Mamode Akugha. In today's package, we bring you some of the most interesting issues trending in the Niger Delta, beginning with the recent Senate investigative hearing on alleged financial recklessness by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Next in our lineup is a report on two critical projects awarded and almost completed, yet abandoned by the NDDC in EROHWA community, Isoko South local government area of Delta State. Staying with Delta State, we bring you a report on a recent protest staged by some Ijo and Ishekiri communities over perceived marginalization. And finally, into this package, we take a look at efforts being made by security agencies to secure oil assets along the NEMBE Creek trunk line, which has come under siege of oil thieves in recent times. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back in just a moment. Don't go away.
Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, determined to make a difference.
Welcome back. It's Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region. Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and members of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC Interim Management Committee recently appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating how the sum of about 80 billion was appropriated by the Commission between October 2019 and May 2020. This report, correspondent Lovely Ofigo takes a flashback at what transpired during the investigative hearing.
The investigative hearing, coming on the heels of alleged financial recklessness by the NDDC, was to ascertain the veracity of several petitions before the National Assembly. In exercising its oversight powers over the NDDC and its supervising Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, the Senate Ad Hoc Committee summoned Senator AKPABIO and interim management of the NDDC to appear before it and account for how over 80 billion naira was appropriated between October 2019 and May 2020. During the two-day investigative hearing, the Senator Olubunmi Adetunbi-led committee queried the justification of sundry expenses made by the NDDC in the period under review, including 2.6 billion naira spent on medical allowances for staff as well as 790 million naira earmarked for interest.
We noticed several kinds of allowances that are being paid to staff in NDDC. And we were wondering what is the source of these authorizations and approval. I cite some examples.
Acting Managing Director of the NDDC, Professor Kemebradikumo Ponde, in his submission observed that since its appointment in February this year, expanded interim management of the NDDC had spent a total of 59.1 billion naira. He said 38.6 billion naira was used to settle historical debts on previously awarded contracts, while recurrent expenses gulped about 20.1 billion naira. On alleged illegal allowances paid by the NDDC under his watch, Professor Ponde noted that it was made in accordance with already established conditions of service approved by previous boards of the Commission.
That for medical checkup allowance was approved in 2012 and was signed by Professor Tarila Tebepa. We talked about MD's impress of 51. That was increased in 2007 and signed by the chairman then and the MD, Obong Insima Ekere. This interest is not paid to the MD. The interest is not paid to the EDP or the EDFA. They are paid to staff who manage this.
For his part, Senator Godswill Akpabio thanked the federal lawmakers for instituting a probe into the activities of the NDDC, which in his estimation had been mismanaged and unable to meet the aspirations of largely underdeveloped communities in the Niger Delta since its establishment in the year 2000. He, however, urged them not to lose sight of the fact that some of the allegations of malfeasance preferred against the NDDC were politically motivated. He said it was to sanitize the NDDC and reposition it to deliver on its mandate that President Muhammadu Buhari in September last year ordered a forensic audit of the Commission's activities.
There is need for us to do a forensic audit of the NDDC. Not just staff forensic, not just procedural forensic, not just the organogram, but at the end, let us set up a management structure. Let us set up a workable, a fit-for-purpose procedure that will stop wastages and leakages in the system.
As their own contribution towards the realization of a brand new NDDC, Senator AKPABIO urged members of the National Assembly to look into certain factors militating against effective service delivery by the NDDC, one of which is its inconsistent budgetary processes.
For the region to take maximum benefit of the NDDC, we must rejig the way we pass budget so that we can get it done on time. And please, sir, one more thing. It is important for us to come to the Parliament, to come to the chambers, both in the House of Reps and in the Senate, with the details of the budget. When you pass line budget, line items, health, 50 billion, education, 20 billion, this is, and then you say total, 350, and then you drop the gavel. What normally happens is that two people, just two people, will take it to Hilton Hotel and sit down in Hilton Hotel to provide details. We wanted to do just 3 specialist hospitals in the next 1 year. Sir, out of over 10 billion that was injected in the 2019 budget, they brought out 100 million naira. 33 million for one specialist hospital, 33 million for one specialist hospital. But that was not what was given to you. What came before the Parliament was above 10 billion. But at the end of the day, somebody removed the entire money and put 100 million for 3 specialist hospitals. It's frustrating when you look at the budget details and you get that kind of shock. We need you to help us to succeed.
Earlier, Deputy Senate Leader Senator Ajayi Boroface, who on behalf of the Senate President declared open the 2-day investigative hearing, had hinted that the probe was instituted not to witch hunt perceived opponents, but to make the Commission more accountable and responsive to its mandate as an intervention agency.
The public hearing will further help the committee get more information to enable them to come to a pleasant conclusion on the facts on ground before reporting back to the Senate. The Senate will be fair to all. Our aim is to get all evidence to make excellent decisions to benefit the citizens.
At the sidelines of the investigative hearing, former acting managing director of the NDDC, Joy Nune, spoke to journalists accusing Senator Godswill Akpabio of engaging in corrupt practices and conspiring to remove her from office. Nune was, however, economical with the truth about her removal from office, which bordered on non-participation in the mandatory National Youth Service Corps scheme. Unlike former Finance Minister Kemi Adeosun, who voluntarily resigned her position when confronted with this same challenge and has maintained a low profile ever since, Nune has been throwing tantrums at the Honourable Minister of Niger Delta Affairs and current interim management of the NDDC. Worried by her incessant outbursts, not a few Niger Deltans have called on the sacked NDDC boss to make clarifications about her non-participation in the NYSC scheme.
Inside the Niger Delta.
In continuation of our ongoing investigation of projects initiated and executed by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, across the Niger Delta region, Inside the Niger Delta recently came across 2 abandoned projects in EROHWA community, Isoko South local government area of Delta State. Although the projects, including a comprehensive healthcare center and skills acquisition center, are at advanced stages of completion, They both have been abandoned and left to rot. From a glance, it is easy to tell that a comprehensive health center is a major project undertaken by the NDDC to truly make a difference in the lives of inhabitants of EROHWA community and its environs. The health center occupies a vast landmass with provisions for doctors' quarters and accommodation for nurses. The project has reached its completion stage, with the buildings already delivered, only waiting to be equipped with medical facilities to take off. Judging from its design, the health center was put in place to provide a 24-hour healthcare service, which is currently non-existent in EROHWA community. For reasons one finds rather inexplicable, this all-important project has been abandoned, left to rot away after gulping substantial resources to arrive at a completion stage. Worried by this development, intended beneficiaries of the project insist that it must be captured in the ongoing forensic audit of the NDDC and subsequently revived to offer the community a new lease of life.
The auditors, I think they need to look critically into projects like this, is actually to prepare or to have a comprehensive detail of projects that have been awarded by NDDC for the past 10, 5, 8, 7 years ago.
Equally lying fallow in EROHWA community is a massive project for the construction of a skill acquisition center. The project, which was awarded in 2013, is at over 90% completion. Our findings reveal that the project became stalled on account of indebtedness to the contractor. When contacted, contractor handling the project, Mr. Godwin Jamaho, disclosed that it will take less than 2 weeks to complete as soon as he's mobilized back to site. According to President General of Isoko National Youth Assembly, Comrade Ovie Umwakbo, the delay in the completion and delivery of the Skills Acquisition Center has been a huge setback for EROHWA community as well as other surrounding communities.
Today, the world is moving from mere paper qualification to acquisition of skills. If a building, a structure like this is well equipped, I can assure you that it will take a lot of our youth out of the streets. Many of them are yearning for opportunities like this. And I'm therefore using this opportunity again to call on NDDC. Today it is one accusation of money being looted or the other. Instead of them trading blames and counter blames, I think they should use that energy to look at projects, scout for projects like this and get them running.
While the NDDC is yet to respond to our request for the actual status of the 2 abandoned projects in EROHWA community for reasons attributed to its skeletal operations in the face of the current COVID-19 pandemic scare and its involvement in the public hearings at the National Assembly, the Commission will do well to provide the public with relevant information as soon as it commences full operations. This course of action has become expedient as the community cannot wait to see the projects completely revived and put into use.
Inside the Niger Delta.
NDDC, established in the year 2000 to help develop Nigeria's Niger Delta region. After 2 decades, what is their scorecard?
The amount of money which the federal government is religiously allocating to NDDC, we would like to see the results on the ground.
They have been doing a lot in the last 19 years, but if they were doing quality projects, I'm sure that we would have seen so much on the ground.
What is the state of the NDDC project in your community? Tell us about it and we will report it. Send us an email to insidethenigerdelta@gmail.com or call us on 080-920-76444. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
The ongoing peace process in the Niger Delta may be heading for a brick wall as some Ijaw-speaking communities of Baramatu Kingdom and their Ishekiri neighbors in Warri Southwest local government area of Delta State have threatened to disrupt oil and gas production over persistent marginalization in the distribution of Nigeria's oil wealth. Correspondent Ekenami Ofori, who covered the peaceful protests staged in 2 locations by disenchanted groups, filed in this report.
Aggrieved communities of Baramatu Kingdom recently converged in Opraza, headquarters of the kingdom, to protest against perceived marginalization in the allocation of benefits derived from crude oil and gas production. The protesting communities allege that, despite having given peace a chance since the introduction of the presidential amnesty program, the federal government has failed to honor its promise to address plaguing issues of poverty and underdevelopment that have become their lots over the years. Consequently, they had threatened to disrupt oil and gas operations in their domain.
We urge the federal government to immediately put in place processes that will start the EPZ project that has the Gas Revolution Industrial Park, Ogidigbe, and also the deep sea port, Baramatu Kingdom. We also ask the federal government to restart the Omadino Escravos Road. They should, in fact, not waste time to ask the contractor to mobilize. We will ensure that companies that are mining oil in our territory do so no more until we are given an opportunity.
If they don't want us house, we are ready for them. Our own will be more than COVID-19. The women, we are ready.
The Ishekiri ethnic nationality has equally vowed to cripple oil and gas production over its non-inclusion in projects execution and denial of employment opportunities by companies operating in its oil-producing communities. During a recent peaceful protest organized in Uborodo, Movement for the Development of Ishekiri Oil and Gas Producing Communities asked the federal government to stop an ongoing bid for 57 marginal oil fields in the Niger Delta, demanding that the Ishekiri people be given the right of first refusal to own and operate the oil fields.
If competent companies owned by Ishekiri indigenes are not considered by the DPRO for the 57 marginal fields with immediate effect, we will shut down operations of the multinational oil and gas companies, IOCs, operating in our homeland.
For most observers of the ongoing peace process, the threats issued recently by angry Ijaw and Ishekiri communities is a sad reminder of the early days of conflict in the region. They recall that when the Niger Delta peace deal suffered a major setback soon after President Muhammadu Buhari's election in 2015, the region's leaders met with Mr. President in November 2016 and made a 16-point demand to facilitate lasting peace and development in the Niger Delta. According to the aggrieved oil-producing communities, their main grounds is the federal government's failure to address the following demands: relocation of administrative and operational headquarters of oil companies to the Niger Delta, review of the presidential amnesty program to provide a robust exit strategy for beneficiaries, addressing crumbling infrastructure in the region, as well as increased funding for the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs and the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Renewed agitations by restive communities are a source of concern for stakeholders over a likely derailment of the ongoing peace process in the Niger Delta. One-time president of the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People and chairman of the Niger Delta Technical Committee, Ledu Mite, frowns at the turn of events in the Niger Delta, which he says is capable of igniting violence in the region. Mite advises the federal government to shun quick fixes in addressing the plight of neglected communities and rethink its conflict resolution strategy in the Niger Delta.
It is only when the people agitate to the extent that it now threatens either the economy that governments now come into it and then try to do something. And most times it is just some quick fixes to solve the problem. Quick fixes cannot solve this problem at all. I think we need to go back to the drawing board. What are the issues? And government should be prepared to go and speak with the people. There should be some dialogue to solve these issues.
Fortunately, the Delta State government has assumed a mediatory role in what could degenerate into renewed hostilities in the Niger Delta. In the aftermath of recent threats to cripple oil and gas production, the state government has appealed to the communities to sheath their swords and allow peace reign, while promising to convey their grievances to the federal government. For most observers of the ongoing peace process, it is difficult to contemplate a possible return to violence, which would result in a lose-lose situation for the feuding parties. They, however, call on the federal government to look into the legitimate demands of aggrieved communities and provide restorative justice as a precondition for lasting peace and sustainable development in the Niger Delta.
Inside the Niger Delta.
Hard times await oil thieves operating in the Niger Delta as security agencies are determined now more than ever before to rid the region of illegal oil bunkering activities. This declaration was made by Sector 3 Commander of Operation Delta Safe, Colonel Marcel Ejike, while handing over a seagoing vessel laden with stolen crude alongside his crew members to officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) recently at Marine Base Port Harcourt and at Okrika, headquarters of Wakrike local government area of Rivers State.
MT Morris, a massive seagoing vessel fully laden with stolen crude, was apprehended and arrested alongside a 9-man crew along the NEMBE Creek trunk line in Bile Kingdom. Acting on a tip-off from security agents on guard along the NEMBE Creek trunk line, the Joint Task Force Sector 3 of the Rivers State Command, in a joint operation with the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, immediately swooped in on the suspected oil thieves. Having discovered that the vessel was engaged in siphoning crude oil from the NEMBE Creek trunk line, the 9-man crew was arrested and handed over to officials of the EFCC by Colonel Marcel Ejike, Commander Sector 3 of Operation Delta Safe, for further interrogation and prosecution.
We have done our preliminary investigation, and so we are handing over the vessel now to you for proper investigation and necessary prosecution against the people. This will be a deterrence to other criminals who want to sabotage the federal government assets. So on behalf of the sector, I hand over.
While receiving the vessel and its 9-man crew, Head of Extractive Industries and Maritime Section of the South-South Zonal Headquarters of the EFCC, Annie Davis Stanley, described the recent arrest as a major breakthrough in the fight against oil theft in the Niger Delta. He said it would take proper synergy among security agents to flush out oil thieves from the region.
This is a giant effort or step towards the fight against illegal oil bunkering, oil theft, and the likes. I must say here that illegal oil bunkering is one of the serious organized cross-border crime that, if left unchecked, is capable of ruining the economy of a nation. And I want to say that the best way to tackle this menace, this challenge, is by collaboration. And that collaboration is what the Army have demonstrated today by apprehending this vessel on suspicion of crude oil theft and handing over to EFCC for further investigation. And I want to assure you, the Zonal Commander, the general public, members of the press, that EFCC will carry out thorough investigation on this, and whoever that is found culpable will be brought to book.
In recent years, the NEMBE Creek trunk line operated by the NNPC AITEO joint venture has witnessed sustained attacks by crude oil vandals. Owing to the nefarious activities of oil thieves, the NEMBE Creek trunk line, which is in the asset portfolio of AITEO Eastern Exploration and Development Company of Nigeria, has been shut down for over 260 days in the last 4 years. This year alone, the pipeline has been shut down for 26 days to carry out repairs on the constantly damaged oil facility. In a recent statement issued by the company, repeated closures of the NEMBE Creek trunk line has resulted in a deferment of up to 15,000 barrels of oil per day. While credit must be given to those involved in the recent joint military operation leading to the apprehension and subsequent arrest of suspected oil thieves terrorizing the NEMBE Creek trunk line, the expectation is that same feat will be replicated across the oil fields of the Niger Delta to check the unprecedented economic loss attendant on illegal oil bunkering activities in the region.
Inside the Niger Delta.
From its humble roots in 1999, AITEO has grown to become one of Africa's fastest energy leaders, contributing in no small measure to the advancement of the Nigerian energy industry. Our integrated value chain in the upstream, downstream, and power sectors is underpinned by extensive local capacity development with significant opportunities to sustain AITEO's future business. In 2014, AITEO raised the single largest debt financing in Nigerian oil and gas sector from local banks to become the successful bidder for 45% of OML 29. AITEO is breaking new grounds. We have a clear vision for the future and the knowledge and assets necessary to provide for our energy needs on a regional and global scale. Get to know the future. The future is AITEO.
Well, that's where we draw the curtain on our program for this week. Inside the Niger Delta, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region, will be back same time, same station next week. Until then, you can follow us on our social media handles showing right now on your screen. Until same time next week, remember to always wash your hands, maintain proper hygiene, and keep safe social distance to avoid contracting the deadly coronavirus disease. I am Mamode Akugha. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.